Oh, that didn't
I
happen.
hit a record. Is Brian not coming to this? No?
I think he's at the doctor or something.
Oh,
So
okay.
I sent him the link. Well, let's see what he said exactly, just for shits and giggles.
Ha ha ha.
Mhm. Discord messages. It says love too, but I think my wife has a doctor's appointment that afternoon. Also, I just did space brain, though I dig me some Gwent.
Okay. Very well then.
Get Gwent.
Yeah, go get Gwent. Yeah, this definitely feels like an episode someone would want to do. So it's
I
one of
don't know. I guess it
those.
kind of makes sense for the us doing it without a guest having done the prisoner. So
Sure.
kind of works.
Uh all right. Ready?
Yeah, I thought you were just gonna do shit.
Well, you're wrong. Welcome to space. Fuck. Okay.
Welcome to Space Fuck.
How many times I've done that? Well, welcome to podcast 1999, podcast about space 1999. I'm the companion, and here is your actual host. I'm your actual host.
Mm, I went. See, I thought you were gonna be a companion. I was gonna get to be like an evil computer.
No, you have to have the same voice as me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What would be my booming computer voice? You shall
Booming computer
let us
voice.
do the entire podcast in voices such as these.
Insert that cylinder into my hole now.
Yes. We didn't actually say names though. I'm Matt. You're not.
I'm Mark.
Mm,
I'm companion.
that was too close to a Chevy Chase intro, wasn't it?
Was I don't know. I don't pay attention to Chevy Chase.
Oh, and I think his weekend update. I'm Chevy Chase and you're not. Was his.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. I haven't seen a whole lot of old SNL to be
Do
honest.
you know why you haven't seen full episodes of '70s SNL?
Is it because the by the time that was easily accessible, I was completely burnt out on the show entirely?
Just because 80% of those episodes suck.
Well, I mean,
it's,
80% of
it's
all the other episodes suck. So,
it's the
so if I really,
I mean, like each episode though, there's like 20%
oh,
good, and that's the one that everyone remembers, and then the rest of it's pretty like, ugh. So,
I mean, everybody's got their era, right? Like I grew up during the '90s ones, and then when that era was over, I lost interest. And every time I've tried to watch it since then, it does not interest me and seems pretty bad.
I think they did it right in the '90s, or they'd have VHS, and it's just like, here's a bunch of Eddie Murphy sketches. You like Eddie Murphy? Watch these. Or another tape is like, here's a bunch of Belushi sketches. You like Belushi? Watch these. I think that's probably
When did that happen?
in the '90s. You could rent
That happened in the
videos that
'90s?
were specifically based on
Oh,
SNL
you mean
actors.
like if you bought them?
No,
I'm
you can
talking
rent
about
them.
like
You
just
can rent them. You can rent them at the
okay,
video night.
whatever. I thought you were talking about the show itself, and I was like, I don't remember that happening. I mean, the show as it aired.
No, because SNL they put out a box of the first season like in 2005 or something on DVD, and everyone
Yeah.
realized, wow, these aren't actually that fun to watch straight through.
By 2005, I was completely checked out. I don't think that I don't think I've even watched an entire episode since before that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I certainly have, but I live in the wrong country for that. Anyway, that's the wrong show.
You
Space
can watch anything you
1999.
want. I
So
don't
you
know,
can watch
whatever.
Space 1999 if fun. It's the Infernal Machine. Much better than your standard '70s SNL episode. I'll that's my review for the Infernal Machine.
I mean, the effects are way better than SNL.
Oh, the effects are better too. Yeah, and the screaming is definitely better.
Yeah, top notch screaming here. This is yeah, screaming Koenig is back, and he's here to scream. He's
uh,
here to scream bloody machine murder.
let's get trivial. I want to get trivial.
Yeah, let's do that. Speaking of Saturday Night Live, trivial. Okay, trivia. 21st in production order. This has David Tomlin back to direct, having just completed work on Barry Lyndon. You last saw his work on Force of Life, and he'll be back for one more episode this season. Anthony Terpeloff gets the main writing credit here. This is his last on the show this season, but he'll be back for one in season two. Paul Morrow was originally heavily featured in the script, but Prentice Hancock ended up in the hospital having a lump on his throat removed. Don't worry, he's okay. So his lines were given to a new character, Winters, played by Gary Waldhorn. Two Gwents and three laser-equipped tanks were built by Martin Bauer in 12 days for this episode. The larger Gwent was destroyed in a fit of rage by special effects director Nick Alder after the episode was completed because he'd had so many problems making the ship roll correctly.
So it's like an Office
Yeah.
Space moment where he takes a copy
Is
out.
it I mean, it's an infernal machine, right? Didn't
Yep.
they keep saying it's not supposed to work? It defies physics. So then sometimes physics defies you, I guess. The budget for the season was running thin at this point, so Lou Grade put up some of his own money to keep the show's quality up. There are a couple of other episodes coming up where that money will also be seen on screen. So our main guest star this week is The Wig. It will be back for one more episode in season 1, worn by Joan Collins. So look forward to that. Anyway, the aforementioned Winters is played by the aforementioned Gary Waldhorn. He was born to Austrian Jewish immigrants in 1943 in London and worked mostly as a character actor on stage and then screen. His credits run up until 2013, and you can see him in such works as Titmus Regained, Mrs. Capper's Birthday, and A Sharp Intake of Breath. He passed away in 2022, another death during the pandemic from undisclosed causes. You probably are thinking that Winters will not be back in future Space 1999 episodes, and in that you would be correct. Guest starring as both. Winters is done, even though he's clearly a senior officer or something. Guest starring as both Delmer Paul. I knew I was going to mess it up. Delmer Powis Plebis Gwent and companion is Leo McKern. Born in 1920 in Australia, an accident in 15 left him with one glass eye. It's the left one. He started studying engineering at a young age, which led him to service in the Australian Army in World War II. But after that, he began studying acting, which led to a long and prestigious career on both stage and screen. You can see him in 3 episodes of The Prisoner, a series which David Tomlin co-created and Matt and I co-podcasted about. He was specifically in my personal favorite episode, Once Upon a Time. There's also yet another Omen connection, as he played Carl Bugenhagen in not only the first but the second Omen movie as well. You can of course also see him in The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother, Decline and Fall ... of a Birdwatcher, and in the Beatles movie Help, along with Space 1999 cast members Danny and Merton. He passed away in 2002 following a long illness. And the trivia just passed away following a long illness.
Okay. I got a story for you.
Do it.
As Paul convalesces from an injury, not something on his neck in story, Koenig puts some guy named Winters in charge of main mission. Just as he sits down, a bizarre spacecraft appears, demanding to land next to Alpha, and then demands that Commander Koenig, Dr. Russell, and Dr. Bergman come to his ship. There, they meet the aged companion, who seems friendly enough, but is also senile, fearful, and soon dead. It turns out that this ship is really run by a supercomputer he built named Gwent. Gwent is mostly self-reliant, but requires supplies from the moon base, and Koenig and Russell to stay as his new companions, as he also needs social interaction. The Alphans try to thwart Gwent, especially once they realize that Gwent is effectively blind, save for a flashlight eye. Gwent figures out the duplicity, gets pissed off, and now demands that Bergman also stay on board. The trio on board talk Gwent into killing himself, but they do it a bit too effectively, and the ship also loses life support and the ability to open doors. They put just a bit of power back into Gwent's core and escape. Gwyn then takes off and blows himself up real good.
Okay. Bye-bye, Gwent.
I do like that as soon as Winters sits down, it's like, hey, there's a ship. Like he didn't have to wait long for some action, you know?
So I wanted was this your first time watching this?
Maybe. That's kind of how most of these are. It's like maybe.
What did you think Winters was gonna what did you think his fate was gonna be?
Well, I was waiting for your trivia because obviously the guy that played Paul had an issue this week. That's all I was thinking. Like,
I was thinking that he was going to be Gwent's new companion and they would go off together.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Well, like you said, they wrote the script with Paul, so to me it was just like, oh, actor not available, plug in the different guy, you know. But yeah, yeah, if they had
Well,
another rewrite, that might have made some sense. That
I
would have
mean,
been
I
the
guess,
Corbomite maneuver Star Trek ending where that one guy goes off to drink Tranya with Clint Howard.
yeah, I mean, or is Wesley Crusher going off to be groomed by a benevolent space thing
Wizard,
guy, wizard?
space wizard.
I forget, because he came back, right? What was that guy's deal?
Did he
I guess
come
they
back?
ended up friends. Did
Oh
Wesley
no,
Crusher come back?
like barely. He shows up in the wedding in Nemesis. That might be deleted footage. And then he shows up, spoiler,
I
near the
know.
end of season 2 of Picard, but he's just
I,
kind of like, I
it's
do
stupid.
stuff. He doesn't really,
It's
it's just
so
like,
bad.
he's just like, it was nice of them to invite me for this, and but they didn't for season 3. And then there's a new son. So,
That was even bad for the bad season two. That was particularly bad. It's like, hey, I heard that for some reason you look exactly like somebody 3,000 years in the future, and there was a huge diversion of the plot just to give you something to do because they obviously gave you a contract for 2 seasons.
yeah, season 3 made up for
I,
it.
I mostly until the end when it turned into dumb, but that's that's just me. I don't speak for my opinions. Do not reflect the opinions of this podcast.
I speak for the trees.
It's the dumb Borg again. It's the Borg again. I a very unpopular opinion. I think that season one of Picard was actually the most interesting.
Well, I'll get back
Uh,
to rewatching it soon and
executed
back to
executed poorly, but
you.
at least they were trying something.
Right.
Anyway, this is not a Picard podcast, and it never will be.
Uh,
Um, did you get Unicron vibes from Gwent? Because I definitely did.
well, because we had watched The Prisoner, I had so much, in my
Is it
mind
number
just
two?
for like, yeah, like a weird psychological game is what when in my head because I'd seen so much Prisoner. So, if I hadn't, maybe I'll say he's too small for Unicron. Unicron's a lot bigger than this. I mean, this is
I
big,
mean,
but
they're not
not
going to build a
Unicron big.
freaking planet for this show.
They
They didn't
they
even think
they had
about it. Last time
put
we
a
saw a whole
planet with a
planet and
brain
one
and an
lady on it
eye
with
in
the
the
wig.
brain, which was a
Okay, yeah, that did
planet.
happen.
They made whole planets. That's more of Unicron. If you had put Leo McKern's voice to that, then I would get some strong Unicron vibes. Sure.
But it's just like Unicron, he's just screaming out demands to people, and every time he throws a temper tantrum, he makes people scream and stuff. Like he shoots a ray at them and makes them all suffer, and he just wants all these demands. And he's really kind of lonely, and I don't know. That's it's feels super Unicron to me. I'm sure that I could not find anything on the internet that said that Unicron was inspired by this.
Yeah.
So
So
probably not.
I think that's kind of like it did not occur to me watching it. So I mean, now you're saying it, I'm not like, where are you talking about? I get what you're saying, but no, it did not
Hmm.
occur to me. If that's what your question is.
So would you rather get shot by the green ray or the red ray?
Hmm. Let's see. The green ray seems to be a migraine ray.
Yeah,
Everyone
the
seems to
red
get a
one
migraine.
seemed more upsetting.
I
Um,
mean, a
so
migraine sucks. I certainly don't want that, but
again, and also, this is one of the things that really stuck out to me. Is like, do you feel like this show has just finally manifested what it always wanted to, where the ship is the star? The
yeah.
ship is the star of the episode. So the guest, so we keep like salivating over these cool looking ships, and now we could just say like the ship is the guest star.
Right. Now we have to really focus on the ship and just, give them a good voice, which they
Yeah,
did.
I mean,
So,
I don't think that there was a whole lot of meat to this. It was mostly just an argument. It felt like there wasn't a whole lot of philosophical anything like
well, they
computer want.
philosophically convinced Squint to shut himself off completely and too
Yeah.
quickly. So I like that there was the after effect of, oh crap, we did too good a job and we're stuck in here with no oxygen.
Well, that was only after Koenig like sent the signal to attack, which resulted in just how much death and destruction. That was I am I not supposed to feel like Koenig messed up a whole lot in this episode? Because it feels like he messed up a whole lot in this episode.
Well, yeah, I mean, when someone keeps making demands from you, sometimes you get a little erratic, I guess.
Well, the demands were for whatever supplies, and then Koenig just smashed the supplies anyway. Like,
Yeah,
what's it even matter?
I did like that the MVP of this episode was an inanimate carbon rod.
Yeah, the carbon rod, and then Koenig just smashed it just to be a jerk, I guess.
Yeah, no, and to be
Like,
clear, I'm not sure that was a carbon rod. I just have to make
yeah,
Simpsons
looked
reference.
like it. I mean, it looked like it.
I don't know if carbon
But
breaks that easily. Maybe it does. I
yeah,
just don't know.
like a pencil. It was like a giant pencil lead.
Right. What is
Yeah,
that?
but it's like we didn't if they do you I don't know. Do you think that Koenig could have handled this better, or do you think that he was actually doing his best?
Mm, I think he was in a position where it's kind of hard to do your best because they have like
Oh
erratic
yeah, that's
communications. They can't trust the communications because Gwen's like already basically taken hold of computer, right? So it's like you can't really trust your telemetry that much.
yeah, maybe there's something going on with the writing here where it just made me think that Koenig didn't have a plan except for that he hates Gwent.
Why would he have a plan? Gwent just shows up and instantly tells them to come over and then tells them they have to
Well,
stay there.
but I mean, isn't the captain or the commander always supposed to have some kind of plan for stuff
You
like
don't have a
this?
plan for Gwent. The moon base. They weren't expecting to
Well,
run into this
I
stuff.
mean, you never expect anything in any whatever space fiction,
I mean,
but
he's getting a lot of on the job training in this series,
it just this just feels weirdly incompetent. Where most of these episodes he's been weirdly competent,
I did write a
and
note that said that the Gwent ship looks like a TIE fighter made by an idiot, but
I mean, I love
no,
Gwent. I
I
think
like
he's
it too. No,
great.
I
It's
by saying that
insane.
just because it has that TIE fighter vibe, but then it makes no
Yeah.
sense. So, which they, say directly on screen, this ship makes zero sense, like in the show.
Yeah. But that's one of the most interesting things in the show in this episode, unfortunately. That a lot of the episode is just people yelling at each other and a ship wants stuff. Me want
And then
stuff.
not yelling. They spend a lot of time
And
being quiet too. They play the
then
quiet game a lot.
yeah. And he's mad. He is in denial about everything going on with the companion, and then he goes, companion, which made me laugh like hysterically.
Oh, I did like the funeral where Gwen's like, "Come on, give him some more. That's not enough. Do more." And then they shoot him out in a chiclet.
Yeah, and then everybody in Alpha is like, did they just send a corpse out? Like, what's going on?
Again, bad telemetry in this episode. Bad
Yeah.
comms. So
Koenig waits a while before contacting them.
I mean,
Or at
that had
least he waits till the corpse is out. But
very touching, evil computer-led funeral. That's what I wrote down.
yeah, it's like this is so fun, but it is I'd hate to beat the dead horse by calling it fun but stupid because I've called like 15 episodes that, but it's kind of stupid.
We talked about 2001 recently and how like Hal's voice, that Douglas Rain voice, was perfect and you couldn't change it. What if Gwen had like kind of a Douglas Rain Hal sort of voice? Do you think that would be more effective, less effective, just different?
Yeah, it would be, the question at the end of this episode of this podcast would be my answer would be different.
Yeah, because I mean,
It would be different.
Yeah, because I love hearing Leo McKern ominously bellow at people. That's great. So I wouldn't want to trade that, but I was like, oh, if it was like the cold yet almost the uncanny valley version of comforting version you get from Douglas Rain.
Yeah, there was nothing creeped me out about Gwent, even when he cut the oxygen off and was, I guess, still alive. He was just silly to me, but beautiful and he had this lovely voice. What can I say?
I mean, it's the same guy that threatened you by getting on a seesaw with you in The Prisoner, right? So
I mean, do you think this episode would have been better it was like the Leo McKern acting, like doing acting opposite everyone, and maybe the ship wasn't less of it was the ship yelling at people.
We got a
I mean,
little bit of that as the companion, but I mean,
yeah,
obviously,
but
he was way toned down as that. And I
uh,
assume there's some age makeup. Well, there is age makeup on him, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if he aged so well since The Prisoner.
well, I mean, he had a heart attack from that episode. That's my favorite episode. So yeah, that'll take some out of you. I mean,
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
see it take something out of him in the next episode that they put out after that. But well, yeah, it's just that his human form was sort of this. It was like a good cop, bad cop thing, I guess, or I don't know what was going on with them. I guess he was just
Well, he was completely
he had been
senile. I
the
mean, he was like
yeah.
10 years past his expiration date, you know?
So yeah, the ship version of wherever Gwent was more like probably what he was like when he was 30 or something.
Yeah, I should make you say his complete name every time.
Good glub 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 glub. Gwent.
Wow, that was worse than when you did in the trivia.
Delmer Powers plebis Gwent. I have to look at it because in my notes I just started typing random letters because I was just like blah, 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 blah. I couldn't even really tell what he was saying really
I just
because they're just a
typed
bunch of
Quint. Although every time
nonsense
Koenig
words.
said it, I thought it was oh, is it Quint? Because Koenig would just say it weird every time. And then I check it, but I was like, no, everyone else is saying Gwent. So finally I looked at Wiki and it turned out I was spelling it Gwint, and apparently you should use an E, not an I. But I don't
I
feel bad for not knowing that.
I because of The Witcher, I assumed it was spelled Gwent, and I was correct. But that is like I think most or all of that name has roots in Welsh. Like Gwent is Welsh for place. So
Okay. I
this is
certainly didn't know
place.
that. Hmm.
Well,
Um,
it's the trivia that I didn't put in until now.
right. Three cheers to Lou Gray kicking in some of his own money. That the
Yeah.
set was just like bonkers in this episode. I love
Yeah,
that
this
set.
oh man. This is not that I've really gone into any of these episodes feeling like, oh, this cheap show, but this was like another level, basically.
Well, I wrote a note here. I hope that someone shot a porn orgy on the set before they struck it.
I mean, I didn't find that in the trivia anywhere. Maybe that doesn't make it in. Maybe I should check the adult film database
Some classy
trivia.
70s softcore, you know? This
Yeah,
would be
space.
perfect set for that.
Yeah, space 1999 themed porn. It's just we can't make love on Alpha, but we can make love inside Gwent. Yes, make love inside me.
Well, I was just thinking of it as a set. We don't have to include all the
No,
narrative
Gwent
bits.
is there. He
Okay,
is
what
the
is there?
character. He is the ship. He's the
He's like
ship.
he's like the MC. There's like disco playing, sexy disco, and
Just to ass.
yeah, okay. So yeah, sure, why not?
I wish I had a voice like he does.
No, another thing I
Anyway.
wrote down is I was like, oh, Gwent and the companion. That's what Rick and Morty turn into after like 1,000 years.
Yeah,
Rick
makes
Rick has
sense.
given up his form. He's now just a screaming drunken computer, and Morty's just
Man,
he's the companion by that point. He's burnt
I
out.
hate to say it, but man, Rick and Morty is like 1,000 times better of a sci-fi show than Space 1999 is. like like if this was a Rick and Morty episode, then everything that we've gotten in this episode would take up about 10 seconds.
Yeah, but sometimes you want slow and boring, especially when you're in the
Well,
70s.
yeah, it's a different time. They're doing a different thing.
Another
Is
time,
there
another place.
another time, another place? um, so yeah, Winters did Winters do it for you?
No, he
Yeah, me
felt like
neither.
he felt like Poochie or something.
Every time that there's a guest anyone in this series, they're like, Winters, no, Winters. Everybody has to keep talking about them.
Yeah, and I mean they weren't like no winters in this one or anything, but I do like it when the last episode with Kelly and everyone's like not Kelly, that was
Not
fun.
Kelly, he's my favorite. He's the best.
Yeah.
I'd rather die. I'd rather all of us die than Kelly die.
So,
Yeah.
so I do like random alpha that becomes like super prominent only for one episode. Actually, you know what that means? I do
Yeah.
like Winters. I think that's fun. We got Kelly, now we got Winters. We got those serial killer guys. I mean, they end
It's,
at the end of the episodes, but
it is the, I guess, Lou Grade has something, maybe not Lou Grade, but it's just, the guest star formula. Here is the guest. I mean, the prisoner did a little of this, right? When, what was it, number 26, who was the lady who was doing the flashcards?
oh yeah, yeah.
Was a huge part of number six's life, and then she's just never, all of a sudden, never in the show again, and that just kind of repeats itself a few times.
I mean, it's not the star of '70s guest spots. That would be the Love Boat, of course. But
Well, it's like it's always seemingly at odds with, this and the prisoner are both the product of people trying to do very serious, heavy sci-fi for the era,
right,
and you're trying to weave like a deep tapestry of all these rich characters, and you get the rich character for one episode and one episode only.
yes,
So
yes. Well, again,
you
people were
do,
complaining that where they had the kind of robot girl for a season and a half of Star Trek Discovery and never did anything with her. And then for one episode, it's like,
mm,
here's her episode, and now she's dead.
I have not watched that one yet.
Okay, it was a
That
good episode.
series.
It's just like they didn't really earn it because you just been standing in the background of 20 episodes by that point. So you recognize her, she's there, but you're just like, well, we haven't. She hasn't actually become a character. Now we're supposed to care about her.
Is it like if they had flubbed the 7 of 9 thing? Is that
Uh,
sort of what it's like?
but they didn't flub that at all. So
No,
I
they
don't
didn't. I'm saying, but if they had,
like they just
because
had Jerry Ryan looking around like looking pretty for 2 seasons, and then tried to have a 7 of 9 episodes. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, or I don't know. I don't have a reference because I haven't watched Discovery,
Yeah.
but you can you can watch Voyager and say to yourself, man, if she hadn't been so ridiculously talented and they didn't know what to do with her, they didn't have both of those things, then this would look terrible, right? Because they
Maybe.
made her main character as hell immediately. And I know it pissed off everybody else on the show, except I guess the producer who was dating her. But um
I think that actually does make her scenes with Mulgrew better though, because Mulgrew actually is
mhm,
annoyed with her. So I think it actually worked out for the show,
yeah.
but it probably wasn't a fun working environment.
Yeah, sometimes that's what's like, look at the prisoner episode we
Yeah,
referenced, which is
back to the
basically
prisoner
these
gave the man
two
a heart attack.
actors torturing each other, because sometimes that makes better media. I don't know. They when they tortured the director with a bubble machine last episode. I mean, think
But
about that. Think about Space Brain. If the bubble machine hadn't have been such a disaster for them, would that have been as good an episode? Not really.
no, it's like they got like wildly out of control where you're like kind of worried about the production of the show watching it.
Yeah, it was just out of control. It felt out of control.
um, I guess the one thing with the series in general is it is trying to do hard sci-fi, but no one has really done hard sci-fi on television. I mean, you could argue a few Twilight
Mm,
Zones, but the spacier Twilight Zones tend to get a little goofier too, right? So it's just
yeah.
like now we're spoiled. Now we have like lots of thoughtful sci-fis with like scripts that go through writers' rooms, and here it was just kind of like we're trying to be smart, but there's just no structure. There's no protocol to do it with.
Well, at the same time, the series that are on now sometimes have just the most dumb glaring errors because I don't think as much attention. There's just a different type of problem
They're better at
sometimes. Like,
they're better at passing it off like, oh, it's smart, and then when you think about it,
mm,
it's definitely not
well,
smart. Where
I mean,
this is like,
Picard had grammatical errors in it. There was and made a Facebook post about this, and people kind of came out to defend it because I think don't like people prefer hand waving to like actual accuracy. But one of the characters in Picard said, "You guys former ex Borg," and I was like, that doesn't make sense. Former ex Borg, so they were ex Borg and now they're not. It's just it was just straight up a mistake. I don't know if it's a mistake in the reading of the line or the script itself, but probably the script, and the guy didn't know what he was talking about. But um that there have been a few instances like that. And, sometimes just some weird just continuity errors. But
And
I don't
here,
know.
I mean, also we've talked about before, just ping ponging the scripts to New York and back with notes each way. Just that's
Mhm.
not really a good way to massage a script into coherence, you know?
Yeah, and almost anytime we find out that something was changed, I don't know how you feel about those things, but I usually feel like that it would have been better before they changed it.
Yes, maybe every once in a
No,
while the executive decision makes sense, but yeah, a lot of times it doesn't.
like killing the space brain or blowing up the Beethans. I mean, you could argue cool things blew up and died, but yeah,
Oh, speaking of here, we got the laser moon tanks, which shoot lasers and then get blown up and die. And apparently, we're
yeah.
never going to see those again. This is like the only time you really see the laser moon tanks.
I did not see any data on that, but these ones got blown up. I mean, how many? I lost count of how many things got blown up. Like, released 3 or 4 Eagles, right? I mean, I don't.
Yeah, yeah. I was sitting there like at first before Gwent just straight up blows himself up and he's dead. I'm like, well, I guess they could use this as scrap metal to make new eagles. But then he turns himself into cinders, which I don't know if you can sell. Did they get their supplies back? I guess not.
Well, the Koenig smashed at least one
Well,
of them, but
yeah, but there were like 5 other containers that were not smashed.
well,
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I think they did because crew came to get them, so they probably could have grabbed the supplies. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I was just making a little detour to the Space 1999 death count website, see if there were any confirmed casualties in this episode, and
Oh, I'm
there are
sure there were.
not.
Okay, because I was
No.
writing.
Well,
No, I wrote several times. When the eagle blows up, you assume there's 2 people on the eagle.
yeah, but I mean, remember last episode they loaded an Eagle with nukes and didn't have anybody in it, so they can
Mm.
clearly operate those unmanned. But
This was a
uh,
tactical situation, so I don't know.
the tactical situation is they didn't want to pay extra actors to be seen in the vehicles.
There goes a
As
few more
basically,
eagles. 290 on Moonbase now? Question mark. Bad trip party and main mission.
yeah.
288 question mark. So that's I'm at 288, but that's kind of a spot guess.
if
And like you
if
said, that's
nobody
not the number.
died, yeah. I mean, if nobody died, I think that is only written like that to make Koenig look good, because Koenig was I pronounce him a bad commander in this episode. I think he commanded badly.
And I disagree with your list. People died. There was a body count in this episode.
Yeah, I
I
think you're right, there should be. I
so
think, like I said, that's just that he has this plot armor that prevents you from seeing any consequences of his actions.
what was
Unless you
what's the count on that website by the end of season 1 again?
oh
You say like 297 or
they don't really
something?
have a number here. Oh, 272?
Oh, 272. Actually, that sounds realistic. I could see 40 people biting it in this season.
Yeah. Minus says 3 died in Space Brain.
None
Uh,
here. Okay, because I
3
would
died in the Treble Spirit. Yeah, no.
I'd put down at least 4 in this episode. Well, no, the 3 eagles blow up. There's 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no confirmed deaths.
Winter sends off
Even
the eagles, by the way, so it's technically his command decision.
oh yeah, of course,
That's why he doesn't
his
show up
fault.
again. It's because it's his
Yep,
fault that all of this happened.
because he was court-martialed and executed.
Again, the Gwent shows up as soon as he sits down. Coincidence? I think not.
Maybe he is Gwent.
Yeah, he's Gwent too. I don't
Well,
know.
I thought think about. Don't you kind of agree that this would be more satisfying if they sent him off with Gwent, even though that would be really predictable? But you're like, oh, you've given me a friend, and then
No,
he
I
like
no
strokes the
no no.
panel.
I like that. I like that Gwen is a sad robot that blows himself up.
Wait, the line is a lonely blind creature looking for its death. I
Yeah.
mean, it just feels kind of pointless, but at the same time, he's a jerk, so kind of who cares? I mean, but that's the thing. It's not particularly interesting to have somebody show up and they're a jerk and then they die. That's just not. That's not.
That's the Space 1999 way again. Jarek and
Yeah.
Baylor. That's what they do.
Yeah. But even
You get a
he
great
kills
character
himself.
act. You get a great British character actor to show up, be a complete prick to everyone, and then die.
And also, obviously, there's this whole thing where Koenig goes through a whole bunch of bluffing. He's like, "Well, destroy all of us. I bet you can't." And then he does suck all the oxygen out of the room, almost killing the three of them. So don't you kind of agree that that bluff at least was kind of stupid and reckless? Like maybe he should have tried a little bit to reason with him and away aside from like, go ahead and kill us, kill all of us.
Well, Victor is trying to reason with them. He was much groovier, right?
Yeah. Well,
As
yeah,
is the
because
case at this point in
and
Space 1999.
and really since he's not coming back for season two, I think that this would have been a great it would have been very good and touching and on point if he just took Bergman with him. Because
Yeah.
he seemed to really be into Bergman because I guess he's likes older British gentlemen
No, he didn't like
or
older people.
Australian.
He was gonna send him off for a time. He said he was an oldie.
Well, I
He
mean,
didn't
yeah,
want
they
another
wouldn't have a
oldie.
whole lot of time.
He
Well,
just lost an
what is,
oldie. You
but I
know,
mean, he wanted that oldie to stay alive, even though he didn't admit it because he's too proud and big and strong and massive and upset and petulant and ship like.
so how do you think this guy would rate on the wall of imprisoned evil supercomputers? Is he on the wall? He
Well,
might be there. I don't know.
this is the thing. This I guess I always say this is the thing before I talk about anything in this series because there's always like it's everything is written a little weird, a little wonky. It's like he's obviously so much more like bluster than he has actual power. He says towards the end when he's all weak and dying, he says he has the power to destroy the universe. Like what kind of crap is that? How can you go around saying I can destroy the universe? Like
I,
nobody believes that, dude.
I do like the second time he uses the green ray on them. They're like, oh, that wasn't really that bad that time.
But they're still screaming, and you can clearly see
What
snot
still
coming out of Koenig's
sucks.
nose.
Still sucks. But,
Yeah,
didn't suck as much. Okay.
but it's like it just there's Koenig's attempts at diplomacy. Sometimes Koenig just does not have any interest in diplomacy, and it feels inappropriate.
He's a moon-based commander. Who's he going to diplomatize with?
Oh, not this guy.
But
It's the old trope of I'm in charge because I don't like bullies, and this guy's a bully, so I'm gonna not let him get his way. But it's like the only thing he's really doing is just sending a bunch of ships to die and smashing his own carbon
that's
rod.
Winters.
And okay, Winters, but he writes the
He
note that
writes
says attack
prepare and attack.
exclamation point.
Right.
And he seems so proud that he writes when he writes the exclamation points. He writes an exclamation point at the end of every sentence that he writes.
It's like James Cameron's pitch meeting where he wrote alien on the board and then
Yeah.
apparently wrote the dollar sign at the end of it.
No, what happens is he writes alien and then just writes S, and then everybody's like, "Whoa!" And then he draws the line through the S, making a dollar sign. And everybody's like, "Whoa!"
Sorry, I was being too corporate. I went straight to the dollar sign.
Anecdotal. That's anecdotal. Who
I'm
knows?
sure.
Or
I
sorry,
hope that.
apocryphal is the right word, not anecdotal.
No, I like to think that it
I
actually happened.
sorry. I hope it did.
Should have, yeah, for sure.
That's a better story than most of the Alien movies.
um, let's break this one down into sci-fi dread and sci-fi fun.
I'm going 95% fun. I'm not, and the 5% is just because Gwen actually kills a lot of people.
Yeah, McCurran is a evil computer voice, and the insane ship is a lot of fun. I'm actually going a lot higher on the dread though, because maybe this is my dread that you get forced into a situation you can't do much with. That's the thing with Koenig. I'm like he doesn't really have much to work with in this episode, so
Yeah,
it's reasonable that he might not be making the best decisions because he doesn't have many options. So for me,
I
I don't
mean,
know. That's dreadful existentially. I'm going to go 70 for it.
all right. That
It just
makes
seemed like
sense.
an impossible situation, and that to me that's kind of stresses me out and dreads me out. So
Yeah, I think that the situation was so it played out in such a ridiculous manner that I think just dealing with something that's a petulant child, even if it is killing people, it made me not want to take it seriously.
so he should have taken the Kirk move in the motion picture where they decided to treat Beecher like a child.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this would be a perfect opportunity to make the computer go insane by giving it a bunch of paradoxes, but
Because
obviously they were just not there.
instead of quietly walking away, as happens in the motion picture, Koenig screams and smashes a carbon rod. So it's a very different approach. That's for sure.
You'd be like, just no, but why can't why can't matter touch itself or something? What did Kirk say to the computer to make it insane? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't know. That you mean the Landry computer?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Didn't he
You
say
know
was
what?
there a specific thing?
I think Landry's a better name, but I think Gwent
Hmm.
is a more entertaining evil computer.
Yeah, I mean, no, Gwent is fun. I had fun. That's the thing is that my rating is partly so high on fun because I'm having fun watching this. Like it's not and maybe the dread would be higher if I saw anyone die, any person.
I did. I saw people die, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you saw Winter's career die.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Talk about not running main mission, right? Uh, for the title game, though, they say other words in this episode that might have been like, I guess he's an infernal machine, but they also throw out the words insufferable, dreadful, and intolerable. I vote for the intolerable machine.
Okay, I found the Landry thing.
Yeah.
Um, because it has destroyed the creativity of the people by disallowing their free will, it is evil and should self-destruct, freeing the people of Beta 3.
Oh, okay. That's not that logical. Okay.
That's
It's
what does that
logical in a
remind me
60
of?
script room. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of the Howl explanation, actually. Wow, that's interesting. This came
What?
out Howl. Oh, it came out, I think it came out before 2001. Maybe Kubrick stole from that. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Although I do think they were probably about the same time. If you were really, 2001 was like
Yeah.
what, a two and a
I mean,
half year long production.
yeah. Yeah, and I feel like Kubrick would not have been watching TV at all.
Well,
Just a
he did
hunch.
go. Apparently, he was one of those guys that would just go see every movie, like no matter what.
Hmm, interesting.
I mean, you've heard the
Like
guy
a
talk before, right? Like in an interview.
Not really.
Sounds like a guy from the Bronx. It's not what you would expect from someone with that reputation.
Hey, I just saw a movie. I mean, a lot of my friends who make movies are obsessed with seeing every movie that comes out, and I'm just like, I don't have money to go to the theater, dude.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't have the
I
time. I don't
don't
know.
have.
I guess the idea that
Also,
some people that's the only place they're happy, right?
I mean, I like going to the theater. However, it's like I have to carefully select when I'm going to the theater because I don't have a lot of money. And then, if I can more cheaply watch every single thing that exists at my home, then I probably will do that just to save money because,
Yeah, movies are
is
expensive in Japan. I thought about seeing something yesterday again, and I forgot what I thought about seeing, but I didn't think that hard about seeing it, and I didn't see it, so I guess it works out.
yeah, and I definitely don't buy, I haven't purchased concessions at a movie theater in like 8 years.
I'll buy popcorn.
Sneak stuff in.
I'll buy the
I'll sneak
popcorn.
things in every single time. Every single time.
Mm.
That's right, movie theaters come and get me. You can't do anything about it.
Hard to sneak in popcorn, like a
I don't sneak in
bucket
popcorn.
of
Well, I can't even
popcorn.
eat popcorn anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, that works out then.
Well, I've broken a lot of teeth on it, but also diverticulitis. Popcorn's bad for it. So
Ah,
yeah. I mean, I can eat like the puffs, like the
right.
pirate booty. I can eat that.
I can eat some pirate booty.
Yeah, eat that pirate booty. I guess that's what I'm doing when I watch movies at home. Just eating that pirate booty.
um, did you want to throw out any other? Did you want to throw out any other thoughts on this episode?
Well, Gwent is blind.
Right. Kind
Okay.
of.
We didn't really talk about that.
They got a little cheap with the flashlight. I guess he could see only what the flashlight saw, but then they were using a flashlight as their prop or their
It's like he
special
can
effect.
scan you, but he can't see you, which is maybe that wasn't that interesting of a plot point.
Yeah,
Because
it
also,
didn't really go. I mean, it meant that they could do like one attempt at taking him down. I thought that was going to be more of a thing, and it kind of gets dropped
yeah.
after the initial failure of their plan.
Well,
Because
yeah,
I'm
the,
like,
the whole thing is like I
I
think
see how they're going to do this. I'm like, oh, there's 20 minutes left of this episode, so I guess this isn't going to work out so well.
yeah, he's like he's so excited about how blind he is. He puts an exclamation point on it. Attack, he's blind. And what does that do? Get however many people that you think died killed. That's what
I
happened.
guess I'm going with six. Six.
Six. That gets 6 people killed.
Yeah,
Winters got 6 people killed because Koenig put a bunch of exclamation points on the note.
because
Was
three eagles
so
straight
excited.
up blew up, right? Three eagles straight up blew up, and
I
I'm just going to say
believe
they
so.
each had two people at least.
I hate to say it, but I never keep count of how many things happen in this when there's
I
special
started
effects.
keeping count because it's funny.
I mean, the funniest thing was when Eagle One got crushed into a ball because that was one. That was the best one,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. Well,
Gone.
I still think they redesignate, but yeah, it was
Yeah,
the
I'm
best
sure they
one before
do.
it was turned into a ball.
Yeah, it's like the you're the next one to be president after the president gets assassinated 6 times.
Right. I mean,
You're the
you're
next
crap.
the next
Does that mean you're
president.
a crappier president? I don't know.
No,
Maybe it means you're a better
means you're
president.
unlucky.
What
I
they
mean,
say
you're
with Plato's, like the person who rules shouldn't want to. Yeah. So six down the line, maybe. I don't know.
yep. Well, I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of that in this country for 50 years or so, but
Maybe
man.
they could really throw the election. Kevin Spacey will come back to the states and run for president. That'll be very confusing, and people will vote for him at this point.
Of course, they'd vote for anybody.
Yeah, anyone that's not the two people that they're supposed to vote for again.
Anybody. Yeah, no, anybody. I mean, really anybody can be president. Howard Dean can come back and he'd be president if he just becomes a Republican. And, anybody.
You should run for president this year.
Yeah, probably could. I just need a bunch of money. I need like
Everybody write
$20
in
million.
Mark's name. Just write in Mark's name.
Yeah, that's right. I promise nothing and I'll deliver nothing. So you can take me at my word.
If all of our listeners write in your name, then they will have wasted their vote.
Good. I promise that that's my also part of my word is you will waste your vote if you
You
wrote
will
me.
have wasted your vote when you vote for me.
So therefore I kept all my promises and I'm just like Gwent kept his word, even though that was a lot of talking and didn't
Well, he
really
changed
factor
his
in
mind a
anything.
lot, though. If you're like, you know what, I've decided to change my mind. Is that breaking your word, or is that just a real change in mind? Like you did this, I get to change my mind.
This is just I've altered the deal where I don't alter it further,
Yeah.
but in so many words.
Right. Right.
I thought the supplies kind of looked like giant Chinese food boxes, so that was cool.
Oh yeah, we've already noted that the containers on this show are just phenomenal because we saw those in Last
Yeah.
Sunset on their Eagle, I think.
Well, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season if it looks this good. Like it doesn't even matter what happens. I don't. It's like you just get to see cool stuff and hear an awesome actor just yell things, and then see Koenig yell things back at him.
When is
I
the
don't
wig
know
coming back?
the what.
The wig. When does the wig come back?
Oh,
Is it this season or next season?
Joan Collins is wearing it. I didn't take a note of which episode that is this season.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know
I
she's
don't.
the one wearing it, but I just didn't know which one she's in.
I do not think that the wig comes back for season 2.
That's too bad. Someone probably got screwed up at that rap party with all the foam.
I bet they just were like, we don't have the budget for this wig anymore. That would be Mission of the Darians.
Okay.
She
Sure.
plays Hera or Kara, depending on how they say it.
She plays wig.
I'm looking at a picture of her in the episode, and she's wearing a lot of stuff over the wig.
Oh, that's
So
too
the
bad.
wig is not going to be as prominent.
So this is like the most prime vision of the wig in this episode.
I mean, yeah, we've gotten most of our wig time.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm looking at some screen caps from this episode, and it looks like it's going to be a banger. So yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna stop spoiling myself.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the show always looks good, if nothing
But
else. So
I mean, it always looks good, but then sometimes it looks really good. And this episode is one of those. I
okay,
almost
that's
feel like maybe we should have been rating the look, the visuals of every episode. Maybe we can just do that in a recap.
maybe that's what we do for season 2. I don't know.
Mm.
So
Yeah, because
um,
you said the question doesn't work anymore then.
I'm not sure if it works. We'll find out. But yeah, I
Mm.
think from what I remember, it gets a little more slam bang actiony, which would not really make the dread question make as much sense. I feel
Yeah,
like
I
Victor's
don't
the one
know.
that thinks the most about the dread. So if you don't have Victor, why are you thinking about dread? You know?
Well, yeah,
Oh, it's
it feels like
terrible, man, but it's groovy.
if he's not around to say how groovy everything is, then that's more dread, isn't it?
Well, maybe I don't know. We'll find out. So, listeners, 6 months from now, you'll know how that panned out.
Yep. Or you can just already listen to it because this is the future.
Yeah. What else can they hear in the future?
In the future, you can go to podcast patreon.com/podcastia and give us money to pay future server bills. You can also listen to future episodes of Films and Filth, the Citizen Kane of Podcasts, Luke Loves Pokemon, Game Show, Hyrule Field Report, Occult Disney, Time Enough Podcast, and
Stop.
this
Oh, this. Okay, you can say this. Everyone. I was just stopping you
podcast.
because sometimes you think for like 30 seconds about which one you're forgetting, but you got them all.
Well, I was only telling people to listen to future episodes, but you can also listen to past episodes. Actually, you can't listen to future episodes of them. You can only
Well, if you're listening to this in the
unless
future, you can. From our
yeah, if you're
future,
listening to this in 50 years from now or later, then you can listen to the entire catalog of all of them.
what you cannot do is listen to present episodes because we do this live.
Unless I get a cyborg body. Shit, I should have said unless I upload myself to a spaceship. Oh well.
Too late.